Well, good morning, all.
Good morning.
All right. So today we have a lot to get through. So I'm just going to hold the announcements to be very brief. Didn't know if the New American had anything that you wanted to bring up.
I can be extremely brief and not say anything.
Perfect. Sounds good. All right. Now at the end of the meeting, Jeff LeClaire has an announcement on payroll that affects HQ staff, and so before we officially end, or maybe at the official end, Jeff can stand up and give that to us. FBA, feel free to take off at that point, but that way we're not wasting your time. All right. So 60th plans are coming along. David Lewis, welcome back. Just noticed you were here. Fantastic. Woo. This fall, so again, 60th plans are coming along nicely. We have a meeting today, one of several, and should be good. The speakers are mostly all confirmed. One or two yet that we still have to kind of toughen up, but other than that, they're going very well. Today we have employee awards. But before we start that, I know that Mike has got a good video that he wants to show. And so let me see if I can find that real quick for you, Mike.
It's fantastic. Social media's doing some stuff for us.
Excellent. And that is looking around. I mean, we're all like a team, right? We're all under the banner of the John Birch Society, but yet there are specific and unique selling propositions that each team has. And Freedom Project Academy is able to open doors the John Birch Society cannot, and vice versa. So it's nice to see the success, of the classical education that's based off of the Founding Fathers. It kind of gives a warm feeling in the cockles of your heart, right? So it's great to see that taking off. So congratulations to you guys on that. All right, so let's go with Art first, Monica, Mike, and then myself.
Well, first of all, I want to know what a cockle is.
I'll tell you later.
Okay. Well, stand up, Bill.
Yes, sir.
Well, we're going to honor Bill Hahn this morning for his 11th anniversary with us. And the two things that I did this week was to take a look at some of the more fundamental aspects of the traits of Character First. A lot of times we get into some of these things that you've really got to define them to be able to really understand them. But there are some very fundamental aspects, very fundamental traits of Character First that are impossible that these other aspects are impossible without them. The thing I chose for Bill was boldness. Now, you would think, that's, kind of fundamental. But boldness is really important, particularly when it comes to leadership. No entrepreneur can be an entrepreneur, for instance, without boldness, can he? He's got to have that boldness to go out there and start something new. And it's the same way in management. Without boldness, you cannot be a leader. You just cannot. It doesn't work. So I'm honoring this morning Bill Hahn for boldness. I won't read what's on here. I don't want to embarrass him. But boldness also has a certain amount of discipline connected to it. In other words, you don't want a gambler. A gambler is bold, but sometimes you don't want that. You need someone who can take all things in perspective and then apply them, but have the intestinal fortitude and the wisdom to do it. And so I picked boldness as the character trait that I really liked in Bill Hahn because he displays it in all of his leadership abilities. Thanks, Bill. And another very essential character trait is honesty. And that's what I'm doing with our wonderful Julie Smith this morning.
No, Julie.
With her 22nd anniversary, which says she's kind of getting long in the tooth.
Have I overstayed my welcome?
But, you know, without honesty, nothing works, right? I mean, it has to be an essential interaction, whether it's character first or anything else. It is an essential thing. And so I picked honesty with Julie Smith. Sometimes she's a little too honest. But, you know, that's really what helps, for instance, myself in management. Without it in everybody, things fall apart. You don't want honesty to be brutal. You want to temper it. But nonetheless, honesty is so very valuable. And so I'm honoring Julie Smith this morning for that particular character trait. Thank you, Julie.
Okay, I'm gonna keep to my script because I could talk and talk and talk for a long time about Vanessa, so come on, up here. Sorry, I have to put my glasses on, I can't read. I'm recognizing Vanessa Miller today for demonstrating the character quality of endurance, which Character First defines as the inward strength to withstand stress and do my best. The counterpart to this character is despair. Vanessa is celebrating her 1-year anniversary with the John Birch Society, although this isn't her first go-around with JBS. This time she made it to this accomplishment, and I know she's pretty proud of herself for doing that, and I'm proud of her too. With a smile on her face, she takes care of our customers with a can-do attitude. I have overheard many phone interactions between her and our callers, and she maintains her professional, friendly attitude from hello to have a nice day, and always asks if there is anything else she can do for them before hanging up. She comes in every day ready to tackle any situation that comes her way, even when she is overwhelmed and stressed out by what she has going outside of work, and I appreciate that very much. It is not always easy to just shake it off and move on or keep going, but that is exactly what Vanessa does each and every day. Vanessa is a diehard Green Bay Packers fan. Go Pack Go. Her 2 young boys keep her very busy each and every day. And if she isn't playing football with her team Blonde, she is spending time with her boys, helping to grow them into respectful, God-fearing men. I appreciate Vanessa being part of our JBS very much, and I really, really appreciate you being a part of my team. And thank you very much.
Mike, did you want
I don't know.
to? Oh, you don't have anything? Okay. Gotcha. Sorry. Yeah, as I'm looking around, that person's not here, so, okay. All right, make sure I grab the right one here. So this certificate goes to Miss Julie Freeman. Come on up. I got the eye. See that? All right. So congratulations to Julie for demonstrating the character quality of thoroughness as we celebrate her 29th anniversary. And holding. It's not hard to demonstrate why Julie best exemplifies the character quality of thoroughness. For instance, when we have a question about products, action projects, member history, or just general JBS organizational stuff, many times the first person that we go ask is Julie D. In her 29 years here, she has squirreled away plenty of valuable institutional knowledge due to her wanting to track as much relevant information as possible. It's also this thoroughness that makes her the perfect person to head our production efforts, ensuring that our projects and our products are steadily moving along and being completed. She was integral in making our 50th anniversary in 2008 a wild success, and we know that her contributions for the upcoming 60th will be just as important. And now, with the help of Robin and Kaylee, she finally has an opportunity to try out new advertising and promotion ideas to help deliver more value to our advertisers, as well as broaden the base of repeat and referral customers for Shop JBS. We thank Julie for the many hats she has worn over the last 29 years and look forward to what the next 29 years will bring. All right. Take it away, sir. All right, so this month's character trait is loyalty. And Character Core defines it as demonstrating commitment to others. Now, there are a lot of avenues we can go with loyalty. I chose kind of the family approach on this. So I'll relate a story that Zig Ziglar came across in one of his books and as well as one of his columns online. So legendary sales and motivational speaker Zig Ziglar lists loyalty as being one of the 6 foundation stones that are necessary for a balanced success. He said, if you compromise any of those 6 principles, you will end up with only a beggar's portion of what life has to offer. Regarding loyalty, you want to forward that or go on to the next one, Dan? Thank you. Regarding loyalty, Zig said, outside of love, no 2 things are more valued in another person than trust and loyalty. In his book, See You at the Top, he gave a rather touching account of loyalty. Back in the late 1950s, a Canadian couple and their 2 daughters welcomed their first son, David. However, it didn't take long before the Lofchek family realized that there was something wrong with David. His head hung too limply to the right side of his body, and he drooled too much for a normal, healthy child. The family doctor assured them that nothing was wrong, and David would outgrow this problem. So they took him to a specialist, and then they took him to 20 more specialists. And they all told them the same thing. The little boy is spastic. He has cerebral palsy. He'll never be able to walk, talk, or count to 10. Some even suggested that they put him in an institution for his own good and for the family's own good. His father told Zig the only thing these specialists had done was to convince us to find a doctor who was interested in solutions and who wasn't overwhelmed with problems. Finally, they heard of a Dr. Pearlstein in Chicago, who is the world's foremost authority on cerebral palsy back then. But he was booked solid for well over a year. But the dad managed to convince the doctor to put his son on standby in case of a cancellation. A break came just 11 days later, and David had that appointment with Dr. Pearlstein. After several hours of grueling examination, the diagnosis was the same. David was a spastic, he had cerebral palsy, but there was hope, provided that the family was willing to undertake the enormous and never-ending battle. The Lofcheks felt that no price could be too high to give their son his chance in life, so they eagerly inquired about what must be done. Dr. Pearlstein and his therapist spelled out their instructions in minute detail. They were told they were going to have to physically work David until he dropped, and then they would have to work him some more. They would have to push him beyond all human endurance and then push him some more. He made Bernie and Elaine, his parents, completely aware that it was going to be a long, difficult, and sometimes an apparently hopeless struggle. He stressed that once they started this course of action, they would have to continue it indefinitely. He emphasized that if they gave up or they slacked off, David would go backwards and lose all of the forward momentum. And all the work that they had done would be in vain. A physical therapist and a bodybuilder were hired, and a small gym was built in the basement. Physical effort and mental toughness became the order of the day. After months of excruciating and dedicated effort, small rays of hope began to appear. David acquired the ability to move. Even though it took him a long time, a giant milestone was reached. He was finally able to move the length of his own body. Another milestone came when David was 6 years old. He managed to do a single push-up all by himself. The effort that it took him was so great that there was not a dry inch of skin on his little body. The mat looked as if the water had been poured all over it. When that one push-up was complete, David, the therapist, mother, and dad all freely shed the sweet tears that clearly proved happiness is not pleasure, it is victory. The story is even more remarkable when you understand that one of America's leading universities had examined David and found that he had no motor connections to the right side of his body. That his sense of balance was such he would have serious difficulty learning to walk, and he would probably never be able to swim, skate, or even ride a bicycle. Yet his progress was steady, and according to some medical experts, even spectacular. At some point, this little boy wore out his fourth bicycle, went on to learn to ice skate and drive a car. David has done as many as 1,000 push-ups in a single day, and once ran 6 miles without a break. At age 11, he took up golf and applied the same enthusiasm and determination to it that he applied and tackled to everything else. The result? He broke 90. Not bad, huh? Cerebral palsy.
Why are you looking at me?
Yeah. You're the golfer in the room.
Yeah.
Cerebral palsy will always be David's Goliath. David must exercise extensively and regularly for the rest of his life. Even a few days off takes a toll. However, when exercise time comes, David understands what he must do and he heads for the gym. Of course, it's not all work, because in addition to his parents, he has those 2 big sisters, a host of friends, and a large number of relatives who represent a lot of companionship and quite a loyal cheering section. Loyalty. He continues writing, by any yardstick, David and those who helped him are quite successful due to their loyalty. It was a team battle and a team victory, with each one playing an important part in putting Goliath on the deck. Each one is playing a significant part in keeping him there. So that's kind of an end quote. So launching into it, we all like our Davids, don't we? We like to hear about the underdog or the little guy that took on a formidable foe and won. I think we all see a piece of ourselves in those Davids, committing to do the right thing, sticking to the fight until victory is accomplished and achieved. Zig also wrote that achieving is contagious. That if you put so much into a fight, you'll get that much back, maybe even more so. But it all depends on the effort that you put forth. From one of his columns from years ago, he suggested a way to build loyalty through the effort that you put forth. It's titled, Love, Loyalty, and Friendship Are All for Sale. He wrote, the title of this blog might seem a little strange, and some readers will undoubtedly think to themselves, well, that simply isn't true. Those things are extremely valuable and cannot be bought at any price. He writes, I beg to differ. As I look at some of the words of George Matthew Adams, he said that we always buy our friends. Not in any material sense, but we pay in pleasantness, sincerity, warmth of heart, or an inspiring personality. These are things which are not matched in mere money measure. They're the quality of people, something of finer design and workmanship than the most exquisite spun wool or even threads of gold. To this, I would add that we buy love by giving love. It's true that what we send out is what we get back. As you sow, so shall you reap. Surely you've noticed that when you greet people with a pleasant smile and cheery good morning, you're far more likely to get that back in return. When you ignore people, you're likely to be ignored. When you treat them in a grouchy, disconcerting, unkind way, you're far more likely to be treated in that same way. You buy loyalty by being loyal. You buy friendship by being a friend. You buy hope by giving hope. As you think about it, you will agree that no person is happy or has friends or love who, in the truest sense of the word, is not a giver or a seller of the things I mentioned. The bottom line is that in life, you really can buy friends, happiness, and love. Give it a try, and I'll see you at the top, as he likes to end his columns. But in a follow-up to this, Zig wrote that David's story now has a sequel. While telling David's story in Amarillo, Texas one night, Zig noticed that a young couple seated in the front row was visibly moved. Later, he visited privately with them, and they sought the name of the Chicago doctor who took over Dr. Pearlstein's practice upon his death. Their 15-month-old daughter had cerebral palsy, and they had hoped something could be done for her. They took their daughter to Chicago, and after the examination, their doctor told them that their daughter had all the symptoms of the disease, but she definitely did not have cerebral palsy. She had simply been born prematurely, and the doctor had incorrectly diagnosed her condition. The premature birth had caused her to be a little slower than normal. However, since they had been treating her for cerebral palsy, she had acquired all of the symptoms of the disease. They immediately started treating her as a normal, healthy child, and in a matter of weeks, the symptoms of cerebral palsy disappeared. Zig wrote, yes, we treat people the way we see them, and they respond to that treatment, whether it's good or bad, positive or negative. Again, that is why it's so important for us to send out what we hope to get back in return. So if we want people to be leaders, treat them like leaders. If we expect loyalty, we must give loyalty. At this point, I'd watch the video, but I'm looking at the clock, and I'll just email it around to everybody. So let me finish off by saying this. You get out of relationships what you put into them. You get out of your team what you are willing to contribute. And how you treat others is how they will act or react. So please think about that and be sure to utilize the additional tools to help learn and practice loyalty. And I think that this month's bulletin for loyalty is actually one of their better ones that they've come out with. You can see some of the PC stuff kind of starting to bleed its way into some of these, but this one is actually pretty good. When you look on page 5 under strategy, it says, "Is there any loyalty anymore by Dr. Jason Jones?" And you know the suggestions that he gives in here are fantastic regarding loyalty to the organization, loyalty to the employee, including that the best investment an organization can make is to develop leaders, and that is something that Chris has been harping on, left and right regarding developing leaders in our membership. That is a fantastic investment in the organization of the John Birch Society. So I'll leave that with you and encourage you to read that, take a look at the video, of which I will zip around. And with that, I bid you good day. Thank you so very much for your attention, and bring it over to Jeff. FPA, if you want to vamoose, please do.